When you think about towns or cities, what comes to mind? Do you envision a skyline of buildings? What about neighborhoods of houses? Perhaps iconic roads and bridges, or maybe city streets full of shops. These are all examples of the physical or built infrastructure of a town or city. Although the built infrastructure is certainly important, it is only one part of what makes a city or town a place where people want to live. Green infrastructure is an equally important component of cities and provides important services to the people in the community. Communities often give awards to individuals, businesses, and organizations to recognize them for their contributions to supporting a community. What if, in addition, we gave awards to trees and green spaces for their services they provide to our communities? What do you think would be the award categories? What types of services do trees and green spaces provide that we should recognize? Forests and other forms of green infrastructure provide a wide range of ecosystem services in urban areas. Green infrastructure is a planned network of undeveloped green spaces, including meadows and urban forest. Ecosystem services are the direct and indirect benefits of ecosystems to human well-being. Examples of ecosystem services are clean air and water, temperature regulation, and fish and wildlife habitat. Obviously, trees don't brag about the benefits they provide to urban areas. In fact, these benefits may go unnoticed until they are lost as trees are removed during the process of urbanization. Therefore, the concept of ecosystem services is important because it gives us a way to recognize, talk about, and even measure the value of trees and other forms of green infrastructure in urban settings. Many disciplines, including forestry, wildlife biology, horticulture, civil engineering, and recreational and parks management, play a key role in protecting ecosystem services. Let's dive deeper into the ecosystem services provided by urban forest and how we can encourage urban forests to thrive so we can continue to receive their benefits. Urban forest and the trees therein provide an array of ecosystem services, including carbon storage, reduction of air pollution, stormwater mitigation, and cooling through shading and evapotranspiration. Have you ever noticed a temperature change on a sunny day as you walked from an asphalt parking lot to a shaded area with trees? It's not your imagination. Researchers determined that urban trees mitigate solar radiation and lower urban temperatures by an average of 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Because urbanization replaces trees and other vegetation with man-made features that absorb the sun's energy, cities typically experience higher ambient temperatures than in the surrounding landscape. This phenomenon is called the heat island effect. Therefore, protecting forests full of trees helps moderate the high temperatures characteristic of large towns and cities. Are you concerned about energy, particularly rising energy costs and demand? Trees lower energy demands by providing shade, cooling air temperatures, and lowering wind speeds around buildings. Research has shown that urban forests reduce electricity costs by almost $40 million and prevent thousands of tons of pollutants associated with electrical and heating grids from entering the atmosphere each year. Much of the built infrastructure in cities is impervious to water and therefore can cause increased risk of flooding during heavy rains. However, urban forests help prevent flooding and promote clean, abundant water. Trees and other plants intercept precipitation before it hits the ground, reducing the amount of rapid overland flow and allowing the water more time to infiltrate the organic matter and soil layers. Trees also absorb water through the process of transpiration and release the water back into the atmosphere. It's important to maintain trees and other vegetation along the margins of streams and rivers. These plants slow down the surface flow of water, filter sediment and pollutants from upslope human activities, cast shade that cools the water, and drop leaves that act as an important source of food and cover for aquatic wildlife. The loss of green infrastructure, including meadows and forests, means those areas can no longer provide environmental benefits to humans and wildlife. So what can we do to protect urban forests and their associated ecosystem services? To protect green infrastructure, municipalities can adopt and enforce land use policies that limit or reduce urban sprawl, conserve green spaces, and create walkable urban communities that limit the need for extensive built infrastructure. City managers and policymakers can use zoning, ordinances, or other legal powers to conserve land and limit impervious surface areas within urban developments. To maximize benefits and help increase tree canopy in urban areas, cities can plant large maturing trees along streets and in parks. It's important that communities provide sufficient space for trees to thrive, not just survive. This means planting the correct species of trees in the correct location with sufficient soil. It's equally critical to minimize land disturbance and protect the soil on construction sites to ensure better establishment and survival of tree plantings. Additionally, protecting urban trees and other forms of green infrastructure ensures conservation of wildlife in urban areas. Protecting remnant patches of vegetation, including forest, provides habitat for wildlife. Urban managers should plan for a future that ensures connected patches of green infrastructure within the urban landscape, thereby allowing animals to move freely from one habitat patch to another. Parks and greenways should be protected to maximize habitat connectivity. Greenways are linear areas of open space and often are placed along streams or utility lines where development cannot otherwise occur. For us, a greenways managed path provides opportunities for recreation and active transportation, while providing habitat for many species of wildlife and protecting water quality in the streams. At a smaller scale, individual homeowners can plant trees and other native vegetation that provides food and cover for animals. And when many homeowners work independently, their collective efforts add up to larger scale conservation action across the landscape. In summary, it's important to protect individual trees and entire forest in the urban landscape. Urban forests provide a range of ecosystem services that improve the quality of life for people and conserve wildlife and other forms of biodiversity. There are many steps that individuals, communities, and city governments can take to ensure the long-term conservation of urban forests and their associated ecosystem services.